Monsieur Hercule Poirot is a personal friend of mine. He has done a great service of the most secret and international importance to the government of Turkey. Now, he is suddenly summoned by the Prime Minister himself to return to Great Britain at once. I dined with him only last evening and promised him that I, Marcel Bourg, director of the train company, assures his friends passage aboard this evening's train. Take my friend Poirot in charge, Mademoiselle Marceau. Secure a compartment of the highest comfort and see to his every wish. This office is depending upon you. Succeed, and I will consider the application for promotion you place on my desk week after week. Fail, and satisfy yourself with the position of clerk for the few short days you will remain in my employ.
Monsieur Poirot? All right, Antoinette. Here at last is the chance you've been waiting for. Your fate is in your own hands.
Loin of this, leg of that. I am not eating the flesh of the animals.
In America, if it has fur, we either eat it or wear it. As my daughter always says, there's a lot America could teach people in other countries, if they'd only wake up and listen. She says one day you'll be able to go into a restaurant in Istanbul and order a hamburger. What do you think of that?
Why would you want to do such a thing?
Why? Everybody wants a taste of home.
I expect the Turks would agree with you.
Exactly. That's what my daughter says. It's only a matter of time and Turks will love hamburgers.
You will be sufficiently amiable to place in my compartment a bottle of mineral water before I retire this evening.
Certainly, Your Excellency.
For dinner, I shall have chicken cooked without sauces. Also, some boiled fish.
I am very sorry, Your Excellency. There is no chicken or fish on the menu.
Oh. Is he chef for this journey? The German?
Oui, Your Highness. The cooking of Monsieur Klaus is admired all over Europe. It is a coup that the train has secured his services.
No doubt. Very well, I will have lamb. Again, without sauces.
You've got to put it over big, whatever you're selling.
Sure, that is what I say all the time. With motor cars, it is no half measures.
This steak is excellent.
The pork is also very nice.
Say, we haven't been introduced.
That is very true. We haven't.
You are not eating.
I haven't much appetite this evening.
How could I be so lucky to have found you?
You found me? Only after I'd chased you across 3 continents.
The statues in the baggage car?
Yes, I saw them loading the crate myself. They were very careful.
Huh, they better be. If it's damaged, I might enjoy owning a railroad. Who knows?
You travel often by train in your profession, mademoiselle?
Yes, I do.
You are a person most fortunate.
I'd rather fly.
Oh, mais non. Not for me are the aeroplanes, with their sudden changes of altitude and the capricious tossing about of the passengers by the weather très mauvais. No.
In business, speed is often more important than comfort.
No, it is more than the comfort. The trains, they lend themselves to the romance and the intrigue. All about us are people of all classes, of all nationalities, of all ages. They sleep and eat under one roof. They cannot get away from one another. And at the end of the 3 days, they part. They go their several ways, never perhaps to see each other again. For a few moments only, the skilled detective has the chance to study his fellow travelers, to watch their little stories unfold beneath the microscope of the trained eye.
Tell me what you see.
You as well, mademoiselle. We will make a little game of it, n'est-ce pas?
Hector, I'm not having dessert.
I thought I might try the...
You go get started on those letters I dictated.
But I...
Yes, sir. I think I have the pleasure of speaking to Monsieur Hercule Poirot.
You have been correctly informed, monsieur.
My name's Ratchet. In my country, we come to the point quickly. Mr. Poirot, I want you to take on a job for me. It means big money. Big money. I'm a rich man. Rich men have enemies. I have an enemy.
Only one enemy?
Just what do you mean by that?
Monsieur, in my experience, when a man is in a position to have, as you say, the enemies, then it does not usually resolve itself into one enemy alone.
I appreciate your point. Enemy or enemies, it doesn't matter. What matters is my safety. My life has been threatened, Monsieur Poirot. I'm used to taking pretty good care of myself. I'm not the kind of man to be caught napping, but you're the extra insurance.
I regret, monsieur. I cannot oblige you.
Name your price.
I have been very fortunate in my profession, monsieur. I have made enough money to satisfy both my needs and my caprices. I take now only such cases as interest me.
What's wrong with my proposition?
If you will forgive me for being personal, I do not like your face, Monsieur Ratchet.
Train company employee. I have checked the baggage car for the supplies I ordered to be delivered here in Belgrade. There is no bacon. I will not make a breakfast tomorrow without the bacon. My reputation is at stake. Find me my bacon or I leave the train here and you can cook all the meals yourself.
Train company employee? I suppose it wouldn't hurt to look around.
I do not protest the addition of you in my room, miss. You have helped me, and I am glad of the company, and I am a Christian lady whose heart is filled with charity.
Fine, that's settled then.
But I have already been picking out the lower bunk for me, because I am afraid of the heights and the sudden stops of trains, and I would not like to return to the children broken.
The upper bunk will do fine for me. I'll look forward to the adventure.
And now, miss, excuse me, please. I will go to the WC, as you call it.
I was educated in England, but I'm French.
Oh? I was educated in Sweden, and I'm Swedish. You call it the toilet? Am I going to the toilet?
Mademoiselle Olsen, how you spend the next few minutes of your life is entirely your own private affair.
Yeah, it is.
injured, Schmidt. Please stop your fuss.
Everyone, please. The pass is blocked with snow. Nothing more.
Nothing more, he says. Nothing more? I can tell you there will be plenty more when I get in touch with my attorneys. American trains don't slam on the brakes in the middle of the night.
I expect they would if they were about to plow into a wall of snow.
I am afraid we may be here for some time. But this has happened before.
Happened before, has it? What kind of a way is this to run a railroad, I ask you?
At least the worst is over.
Monsieur Poirot, I'm so sorry. I apologize for the train company, for Monsieur Booth, and for me personally.
Calm yourself, Mademoiselle Marceau. I hold none of you at fault. Not even the engineer, who undoubtedly saved us from being buried by the avalanche.
You have sprained your ankle.
It is not Poirot who has sprained his ankle, mademoiselle. It is the train who has sprained it.
Yeah, the reason I do not sleep in the upper berths is to avoid pain.
Perhaps I should have slept on the floor. Thank you both for your attentions. If you would now please to allow me to suffer alone.
If you like.
What can the children of her school be learning?
Was that a cry? Yes, I think it was.
First, the snow is trapping us. Then, the old Belgian man injures himself. Now what?
No need to be alarmed. Let me have a look first.
Ce n'est rien. Je me suis trompé.
Bien, monsieur.
Is there drama or calamity?
It was Monsieur Ratchet, but he is well.
Then let us hurry back to sleep.
She's fast asleep. No chance of waking her up as long as I'm careful.
My daughter said it would be the easiest way in the world. Just sit in the train till I got to Paris. But now we may be here for days and days. And my boat sails day after tomorrow. How am I going to catch it now? I can't even wire to cancel my passage. I feel too mad to talk about it.
My sister, her children wait for me. What will they be thinking? They will be thinking bad things have happened to me.
I have business in Milano. A very rich gentleman with his eye on an Alfa Romeo designed by Enzo Ferrari himself. If I am late, I may lose the sale.
Say, you never said what line you were in.
That is very true. I didn't. We may be here for days. Back in '29, there was a train trapped in the snow like this for a week. The passengers almost starved. I'm told they hunted wolves for food.
There's always cannibalism, of course. I remember one time up near Kashmir, I say. Old man, are you going to eat those rashers of bacon? They're quite nice.
What country is this anyway?
Yugoslavia, I believe.
Oh, one of those Balkan things. What can you expect?
You work for the train company?
Yes, but there isn't much I can do, I'm afraid. They'll send out a plow train from Broad. It's standard procedure.
I don't blame you. There's nothing anyone can do.
Monsieur Poirot is right, Mary.
Oh?
He said you are the strongest character among us. I agree.
Oh no. No, indeed. I know one far, far stronger than I am.
Who? Michel, you look almost ill. What is wrong?
Pardon-moi. Mademoiselle Marceau, Monsieur Poirot requests you come to his compartment at once.
Daisy Armstrong, c'est ça. I now know the real name of the dead man. And I know why he had to leave America.
Monsieur Poirot, I have documented that case in my scrapbook.
I remember well the case. 10 years ago, Colonel Armstrong was an Englishman. He married the daughter of Linda Arden, the most famous tragic American actress of her day. They lived in the city of New York and had one child, 3 years old, whom they adored. 2 men snatched Daisy from the arms of her nursemaid. The police were convinced that the young woman had some knowledge of the crime and questioned her relentlessly. The enormous ransom was paid, but 2 weeks passed with no word from the kidnappers. And then there was a break in the case. 2 brothers named Perkinson were identified by witnesses and tracked to a farmhouse somewhere outside of the city. The Perkinsons were arrested at the farmhouse where they and a woman not identified had been hiding. They were tried and convicted. At their trial, they implicated Cassetti not only as the mastermind of the scheme, but the man who shot the little girl. The tearful testimony of the Perkinson brothers surprised many, but they admitted their guilt. And in America, the crime carries the maximum penalty. During the sentencing, the Perkinson brothers tried to make the escape. Jeffrey was captured, but not his brother Robert. And Cassetti had vanished without a trace. Madame Armstrong gave birth to a dead child born prematurely, and she herself died. The evening after the double funeral, a broken-hearted Colonel Armstrong returned to the family brownstone on Park Avenue, locked himself in his study, and shot himself. A body was discovered in the New York harbor shortly after Jeffrey Perkinson died in the electric chair. It was identified by a relative as Robert Perkinson. If he was a suicide or killed by Cassetti was never known. Cassetti was still at large, seen now here, now over there, and still more tragedy was to follow. The police refused to believe the hysterical denials of the poor girl, hoping she might lead them to Cassetti. In a fit of despair, the poor girl threw herself from a window and was killed. It was proved afterwards that she was absolutely innocent of any complicity in the crime. Cassetti was the man, there can be no doubt. He had used the same methods in the past. Hired men down on their luck to do the dangerous work, but taking most of the ransom for himself. And always killing the victim if the police were closing in. He had many enemies, that one.
Mateo, did you see Mr. Hardman come this way just now?
No, señorita.
Those whistles mean a train with a snowplow has arrived from Broad. We should be on our way again in a very few hours. Can you see any clear path to the solution of the mystery, Monsieur Poirot?
There is a path, certainement. How clear it is as yet I cannot say. And you? Have you no theories?
So many clues, so many theories.
You have hammered the nail on its head, mademoiselle. There are far too many clues, too many theories. Please, to recommence the investigation, tout de suite. Eh bien, messieurs, we have before us a most delicate operation. Transfer it. Mesdames et messieurs, there are three that we had followed the trail as easily as if we were tracking the footprints in the snow. Well, it is plausible. It certainly fits the most obvious set of facts. I applaud the mastermind who hides behind such an innocent face. The second solution asked more of the little Gressels, not only of Poirot, but those of Mademoiselle Marceau and Dr. Constantine as well. It was hidden most carefully. The unlikely accident of a means of communicating with the outside world, a part filled most ably by my dear friend Barnaby, made the truth, or at least part of it, easier to uncover. But I flatter myself that enough clues were found right here on this train that such communications were almost always but collaborations of conclusions that I had already reached. So, mademoiselle, we will begin again.
I always fancied myself in comedy parts. Bravo, Mr. Poirot. Well done.
Applause from an actress of your stature is praise indeed, madame.
We were all at the house, a house filled with almost unendurable pain and sadness. The Perkinson brothers were dead, but Cassetti had got clean away. We decided then and there that the sentence of death that Cassetti had escaped would be carried out. Little did we know how many years would pass, how many false leads Mr. Hardman would track down before Cassetti would be found.
Whatever country my work took me to, no matter how tough the case, I always saved plenty of time to try and pick up the trail. But he kept on the move. Brazil, Mexico, most of Europe. Ratchet was only the last of a string of aliases.
Then Mr. Michel wrote to me. It was he who, quite by accident, had recognized Cassetti traveling aboard the Istanbul to Calais train. When we learned the man, now calling himself Ratchet, frequently traveled to the Middle East aboard the train, we knew we could have some control of the scene of our planned execution. It took months, But in time, Ratchet hired both Hector and Masterman.
One of us would have been enough.
2 were better.
Hector handled all of Ratchet's travel arrangements. With Michelle's help, passage was booked on the same train he would be using to return from his latest excursion to the Orient. The rest you seem to know.
Oui, madame. Indeed, the rest Poirot knows.
But I don't understand. You've uncovered everything. We know we did it. How can there be another solution?
Simplicity itself. There is among you one who is not who he pretends to be. With the help of Mademoiselle Marceau, I will now present you with those clues which fit neither solution so far proposed, and present you with a truth that will surprise even you.
The what?
Monsieur Foscarelli.
I would not harm the signorina.
It is why we are all here, to punish the kidnapper.
She's right, Poirot. How can you think any of us would resort to kidnapping after all we've been through?
As you can see, Monsieur Parkinson, we have pieced together much of your story. Only the reasons remain, and I leave those to you.
What did you call him?
He called him Parkinson.
That is my name. Robert Perkinson.
Silence! At once! You will obey me in this and listen to what Monsieur Parkinson has to say. You owe to Poirot that, I think.
Please understand. I know how you must hate me. It was my dear wife Isabella, the unidentified woman the papers mentioned, who pleaded with Paul and me as the police closed in to let her take Daisy away. She was sick with grief.
Take Daisy away?
Cassetti killed the wrong little girl. He crept up while Teresa was alone outside and shot her in cold blood. He was gone again before we knew what had happened. We'd refused his orders to kill Daisy, you see, so he took matters into his own hands and killed my little girl by mistake. If any group of people could know exactly how my wife felt, you are here before me. And we were afraid. Some accident when the police came. It was unthinkable the little girl should come to harm after we had just buried our own daughter. Some time after I escaped, after Paul had died in the electric chair, and Isabella had identified some John Doe found floating in the harbor as me, I joined Isabella and Daisy in France, where they now lived as mother and daughter. I knew we should return the child, but my wife would have died the day she was gone. The child now answered to the name of our little girl, Teresa, and called my wife Mama. You understood the meaning of the photograph, Mr. Poirot?
Your family. You, your wife, and your little girl. And once I realized that, I knew that you could not be Pierre Michel. I then began to consider who you must be. Only one figure could not be accounted for with certainty. Robert Parkinson.
Last year, only days after my Isabella succumbed to a cancer that I think grew inside of her since the day of the kidnapping, I sought out Michel. He informed me of the plan to punish Cassetti, a plan that he, despite the death of his niece, never thought he could see through. He showed me the letters Mrs. Hubbard had written to him. He was in a terrible state.
He had seen Cassetti?
Yes, twice. On this very train. I could see he was not a strong man and would not be able to face Ratchet. I looked at those letters and asked him one question. Had Mrs. Hubbard or any of the others ever met him in person? His answer was no. I wanted Cassetti dead as much as any of you. He killed my child, and just as surely my wife. So here I am.
But But my granddaughter?
She has been staying with my wife's sister in Belgrade for the past few days. She came aboard the train there last night, dressed in an attendant's uniform. She changed into her regular clothes and has been camping out, as she calls it. The nuns at her school have kept up her studies, in English as well as French.
She is a good student indeed, to have brought all her school books with her on the camp out.
I told her to study. She has been staying in the baggage car in Ratchet's crate. Last night I took some food from Klaus's kitchen when he had gone off for a moment.
And the statue worth $4,000?
I dumped it on a trash heap near Sirkeki Station, I'm afraid. This cargo is far more precious.
At last, the riddle it is solved, n'est-ce pas, mademoiselle? And with a most satisfactory solution indeed. You are the representative of the train company, Mademoiselle Marceau. You have been instrumental in assembling the evidence that pointed to the solutions I have now shared. And you have been ill-used.
I am truly sorry, mademoiselle. I left you all of your belongings in that box, except the one I needed back. The key to the security room. You now know why. My precious cargo had to eat. You have proven to be most ingenious. Twice you almost discovered my secret passenger. I left the parasol for you to discover. I had no doubt you would free yourself. If not, I would have found an anonymous way to inform someone of your whereabouts.
I understand why you did it.
As Monsieur Parkinson so rightly observes, you have proven your gray cells to be almost equal to those of Hercule Poirot. So, what do you say, Mademoiselle Marceau? Which solution shall we present to the Yugoslavian police in broad? Dr. Constantine?
Even if I did not owe you and Mademoiselle Marceau so much, I have learned to leave such matters to those best qualified to decide. I, of course, accept Mademoiselle Marceau's decision.
Why? Exactly.
Yeah, that's my view. What did I tell you?
Yes, thank you.
Monsieur Poirot, your ankle.
It feels much better. And Poirot? He has been cooped up in his room far too long. He has the need of some fresh air.
Mr. Michel, I'm sorry, Perkinson. I cannot find it in my heart to hate you. All I find there is forgiveness and thankfulness for giving us back something we thought we'd lost forever. In fact, it seems you are now one of the family.
Thank you.
Daisy, child, my dear, I am your grandmother.